Kevin Stefanski gave us an update on the injury situation for the Browns.
Dylan Gabriel's dealing with a little bit of tightness in his hamstring, so he'll be limited a bit. And then Shedeur, he's good. Was sore in his arm and his thrown shoulder, but getting treatment and he should be fine.
Would you believe me if I told you that the Cleveland Browns just put decades of dysfunction in a blender, set it to mayhem, and watched it blow up on national television? Suddenly, rumors began to spread. Sure, it's possible that Sanders will start for the Browns. And the whole NFL community went crazy in a matter of hours. On live TV, analysts are losing their minds. Online, fans are scurrying to place bespoke Sanders orders, Cleveland's front office, and uniforms. This appears more like a live experiment in football madness, but they're acting like it was part of some grand scheme, because this isn't just another scandal involving a quarterback. This is a serious crisis of identity. It wasn't just a spark that the Browns ignited. They started a fire that is currently consuming every talk show, podcast, and sports feed across the nation.
Number one, Deion Sanders spilling the tea, as they say. Is it giving the tea, drinking the tea? Hell, who knows? I don't know what the kids say these days. To hell with it. He's talking about Shedeur. He's talking about Shedeur starting.
Whether Shedeur Sanders will play is not the question. How quickly will the entire franchise give in to the pressure? Additionally, based on that countdown has already begun, and there is mayhem on that field. One sentence was the beginning of it all. Deion Sanders made a casual remark that sparked NFL rumors going into overdrive. Sitting there with Jason and Travis Kelce on the New Heights podcast, he was unwinding, laughing, and telling stories as Deion always does. Then, almost out of nowhere, he said he made reference to his son Shedeur and implied that his time would soon come. That's all.
Deion did this week what NFL teams honestly were afraid that he was going to do. He did nothing wrong, but this is what they were afraid of. He was on the New Heights podcast with Jason and Travis Kelce and commented on his son Shedeur, who's of course a quarterback on the Cleveland Browns.
One fatherly remark became a tsunami of headlines. Sports blogs twisted it within hours to say that Shedeur should start for Cleveland. According to Deion, every major outlet began treating the comments of a proud father as if they were a coded message to the Browns front office, and talk shows carried it as if it were breaking news. DM made no demands. He didn't criticize anyone. Like any other father, he was merely responding to a question. This is Deion Sanders, though, and the sports world listens, freaks out, overreacts, and burns itself to the ground when he speaks. Everyone had an opinion all of a sudden. Analysts began gripping their microphones tightly, as if they were holy volumes. Whether Shedeur was ready was a topic of heated debate on Twitter. Even former athletes began to share their opinions. Some refer to it as chaos, while others call it confidence. And that's when the narrative developed on its own. Because this was no longer merely a podcast clip, it was about what it stood for: Cleveland's ticking clock. An indication that Deion, the man who has been advocating for patience, is where the twist lies. He may be correct. The Browns have been in dire need of something behind closed doors. Anything to put an end to their offensive catastrophe. It struck a different chord when Diane made her small, nuanced forecast. Fans heard it quickly rather than later, and the countdown began. At that point, started. It began to sound like a drumbeat that was getting louder and louder, echoing the same message with every poor throw by Joe Flacco, every halted drive by Dylan Gabriel, and every fumbling play. Time is almost here. The Cleveland Browns currently resemble a team that lost the instruction manual after unintentionally hitting self-destruct. Each and every offensive snap has the vibe of a poorly done improv skit. No one is on time. Play calls appear to be spontaneous. Fans are halfway through their collective groan by the time the drive falls. Bad football isn't the only issue. Football is perplexing. The type that causes you to tilt. What was that supposed to be? You wonder, glancing at the television. Similar to antique engines, drives stall. Receivers enter each other through routes. You can almost hear the commentators looking for nice synonyms for calamity by the time the ball lands. In the meantime, the defense is out. Every week, they work miracles. They are forcing turnovers, stifling elite offenses, and pushing the club to the brink of victory, only to have the offense take it all back. Their body language conveys their wariness. Every time they leave the field, they have that expression of silent annoyance. What else do you want us to do? And the players aren't the only ones who sense it. The movie Where Hope Dies by halftime is one that the fans have watched before. They arrive dressed in brown and orange. After 3/4 of screaming uncontrollably, they are scrolling through their phones as if they don't care, which they always do. Interview 6.
He truly believes he can be a franchise quarterback. That's what he wants to be. That's what the experts said he would be leading up to the draft. If you watch one of his press conferences, he literally said, if you're not trying to change the franchise, then don't come get me. Cleveland should be excited to have a guy like that wants to do that for your franchise. I hope the Browns give him a chance later in the year because he's confident. He showed flashes in preseason and, of course, during his tenure at Colorado.
Cleveland football supporters endure their team, not just cheer it on. Then there is Joe Flacco, the seasoned presence and alleged steady hand. However, he moves like a person attempting to run through molasses each time he drops back. It's like seeing a refrigerator learn ballet as you watch him fumble. It moves slowly. Uncomfortable, yet tragic in some way. His throws either perish in midair or soar into oblivion. As if this isn't the same movie we've all seen a dozen times, the coaching staff continues to talk about trusting the process. Furthermore, despite Flacco's constant attempts to prove to everyone that he still has it, the scoreboard paints a different picture of missed opportunities, wasted drives, and broken rhythm, slipping through cracked fingers like spilled water. In a sinister way, it's almost poetic. The defense of the Browns plays like a god. They play like ghosts on a fence. Every week, it seems like the walls are getting closer because everyone in the city and in the locker room knows what's going to happen next. They sense that it's building on the sidelines. In the stands, they sense it. Every time the offense hits the field and the crowd falls hushed, they sense it. Shedeur Sanders is the name that everyone can no longer ignore. He sits silently on the bench. And that quiet is beginning to sound a lot like a chorus about to start as Cleveland keeps falling apart. Joe Flacco was meant to be the grown-up in the room, the seasoned professional who would bring order to the pandemonium in Cleveland. Rather, he is now the living example of it. It's like watching time slow down when you watch Flacco in the pocket. He feels like he's fighting to get out of quicksand with each slide back, every toss as if it were imminent. From a man who has just woken up from an extended snooze, he was brought in by the Browns for experience. But if that experience is accompanied by old instincts and cement feet, it is worthless. Like a refrigerator sliding on a damp floor, he moves in the pocket but doesn't actually get where you want him to. And for some reason, the coaching staff continues to appear shocked each week. Confusion at the end of another drive. There is a misconception in Cleveland that the offense is stable because of Flacco's leadership. However, if you are unable to guide the ball to your receivers, leadership is nothing. It resembles an NFL quarterback performing karaoke. I miss the authentic music, yet it's familiar and nostalgic. Every picture is an adventure. The slow-motion panic, the hesitancy, the fallback. As the defenders close in, you can almost see the gears turning in his mind. He jogs off the field with that same expressionless expression when the play eventually fails, as though to say, well, that didn't work. The supporters are aware of it. The players are aware of it. The broadcast cameras are aware of it as well. Before the play had even finished, they had already begun cutting to the sideline in anticipation of the well-known image of Shedeur Sanders, silently observing with her helmet in hand. In actuality, Joe Flacco's badness isn't the issue. Cleveland won't acknowledge that he's finished, so he's the issue. They are attending to a flashing light bulb that appears to be still bright. The stadium as a whole can sense the power waning, while they're occupied with acting as though nothing is wrong. As a safety net for a franchise afraid of change, Flacco's presence has turned into an illusion. However, football games are not won by delusions. They merely postpone the inevitable. Additionally, in Cleveland, that there is a term for inevitable, because the camera always finds the same face on the sideline whenever Flacco misses another open receiver. A drive stalls or spectators groan in unison, calm, attentive, and waiting. The child who was deemed unprepared was Shedeur Sanders, the future version that they drafted. Aside from the future, no longer waits. It is observing the illusion's disintegration in real time from the sidelines. There is one player who never seems unsettled. Even though the Browns' offense continues falling apart like a terrible magic performance, Sanders He is now visible on all broadcasts. Relax.com, his gaze fixed on the field as though he were solving a conundrum that only he could solve. Quiet assurance is all that is present, without any forced energy or frustration. The type of person who says, "I know my time is coming." For everyone else, that's the frightening aspect, because this isn't a backup who is waiting for a mercy snap or an injury. This quarterback was born to be the center of attention. All his life, he has witnessed pressure. Despite cameras, critics, and comparisons, he seems unconcerned. Shedeur has been preparing for this moment as if it were written in stone, while the rest of the world questions if he is ready. "Don't come get me if you're not trying to change your franchise," he advised clubs prior to the draft. That's not conceit. Clarity is that. Cleveland selected more than one player in the draft. They created a mindset, and now they're sitting on their bench, watching an offense fall apart in real time because of that mindset. On podcasts, even Deion Sanders, the man who understands when to crank up the spotlight, has been giving away clues. He doesn't make any demands during interviews. "I'm anticipating it," he remarked. You can be sure that when Deion says something is coming, it's already halfway there. The media is also beginning to catch up. Everyone, including NFL analysts Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, has suddenly realized that Shedeur is more than just a rookie project. The next story is about him. It feels like the NFL is holding its breath, waiting for the switch to flip with every failed drive by Joe Flacco, every short pass by Dylan Gabriel, and and it won't be subtle when it does, because Shedeur is more than simply a football player. He executes it with confidence, accuracy, and that cold forbearance that transforms stress into rhythm. The same drive that made him a Colorado star is about to make its NFL debut. Cleveland is unaware of the magnitude of the impending wave. He isn't seeking attention by pacing the sidelines. He's waiting for destiny to call his number precisely. And it won't seem like a quarterback change when it occurs, when the crowd roars and that helmet is put on. It will resemble a franchise comeback. Shedeur Sanders is a symbol of something Cleveland hasn't had in decades. In a city founded on heartache and misplaced optimism, a reason to have faith once more. Cleveland believed they had discovered a secure haven. Bring in Dylan Gabriel, a stopgap measure, a temporary solution while they worked things out. In reality, though, they received a weekly course in wishful thinking. Despite his impressive college appearance, Gabriel has been thrown around in the NFL like a slow-motion crash test dummy. He's out of sync, undersized, and overloaded. It seems like a survival drill with each snap. Before he can even start, the pocket evaporates, the routes collapse, and the defenders close in. He's making an effort, but his body shows it language. This stage is too large, too quick, and too cruel. Additionally, the Browns continue to act as though their experiment is successful. It sounds like the same news conference over and over. All we need is time. He is gaining knowledge. Flashes are visible. What exactly are the flashes? Because the fans' perceptions seem to be more panicked than hopeful. Defenses have identified him. Already, the arm is not respected by them. The pocket doesn't frighten them, and they certainly don't slow down their blitz. For the opposing team, every game becomes a highlight reel. It's like watching as Gabriel lines up behind center. With a squirt gun in hand, someone enters a house fire in the hopes of a miracle. Although it's harsh, it's the reality. Cleveland senses it too. It's palpable in the locker room. The commentators themselves can feel it. It is becoming increasingly apparent that the Gabriel experiment is failing in real time. It is also evident among the fans. The chants, the tweets, the signs in the crowd, the booing has stopped. They're pleading, as they all know in their hearts what will happen next. The Browns can't continue to hide behind progress. With an offense that is point-sensitive, they cannot waste a top-tier defense. They cannot continue to act like a novice, with their salvation lies in rhythm. Not when the actual solution is right there, holding a helmet. Winning was never the goal of the Gabriel gamble. The goal was to buy time, wait, and hope that lightning would strike twice. However, there is a name for the impending storm, Shedeur Sanders. And no one will even recall this gamble when that name eventually reverberates across the stadium speakers. Cleveland has had enough. The stadium is shaken by chants, and the boos have been replaced by chatter. The fans feel it. The defense senses it. The cameras are no longer able to ignore it. The pressure increases with each misdirected throw and squandered drive. The same question is being asked by local reporters. Why does the future remain on the back burner? And Deion's remarks reverberate throughout. Have patience. Prepare yourself, since everyone is aware of what's approaching. Cleveland doesn't want promises. They want fire. They want Shedeur. And now it's no longer a rumor. It's a demand. It's only a matter of time. The chants have turned into countdowns. And the moment the camera pans to Shedeur Sanders putting on his helmet, the entire stadium will erupt. You can picture it. The crowd surging to its feet, commentators stumbling over their words, and the energy in Cleveland flipping like a switch. Because when Shedeur finally steps onto that field, it won't just be a substitution. It'll be a seismic shift. The air will change. The noise will hit different. This isn't a rookie stepping in for a few snaps. It's a statement that the future just arrived. Every throw will be studied, every move magnified, and Shedeur won't need time to adjust. He's been adjusting his whole life to pressure, to spotlight, expectation. This is where he thrives. When the chaos peaks, he finds rhythm. When the lights get brighter, he gets colder. In the Browns, they'll finally feel something they haven't felt in years. Belief, you'll see it in the defense's eyes, in the sideline's energy, and in the fans screaming his name like it's a new anthem. Because this isn't just a quarterback change, it's a takeover. And once Shedeur Sanders walks out there, Cleveland's never going back. When the dust settles, one truth will define this entire story. Either Shedeur Sanders saves Cleveland, or he exposes just how deep the curse really goes. There's no middle ground anymore. The city's faith, the franchise's future, and the entire narrative of the Browns hang on this one gamble. Because once Shedeur steps in, there's no turning back. If he wins, he becomes a legend. The rookie who walked into chaos and turned it into history. If he fails, he joins the long line of almost dead, haunting Cleveland like ghosts of Sundays past. But something about this feels different. There's a pulse again, a sense that maybe, just maybe, this is the one time the Browns get it right. You can see it in the fans' faces and hear it in the tone of the analysts who swore this team was cursed. It's that rare blend of hope and fear, the kind you only feel when everything's about to change. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just stepping into a broken offense, he's stepping into a legacy, a challenge, and a test to see whether Cleveland's finally ready to stop surviving and start believing. So when that moment comes, when he jogs onto the field and the noise becomes thunder, remember this: it was never just about football. It was about destiny. And in Cleveland, destiny always comes with a little chaos. Destiny always comes with a little chaos.